what was next? What would make me excited? What would give me that same burning sensation when I was 19 trying to get drafted now in life, right? And for myself, it was crypto and Web3.
Welcome back, folks. Frederick with Bitcoin.com on the Bitcoin.com live stream. I've got my co-host, Jason, who's our Chief Operating Officer. And we've got a special guest today, the one and only 2016 NBA champion, Tristan Thompson. Tristan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I think Jason's on here. That means this must be, this big time. The guy with the suit on, bro. Yeah. Just about casual. When he shows up, we'll be ready to play.
I just want to spend some time with some people from Toronto.
You know what? Jason is with us every day, you're with us just for the next 30 minutes or so. So we appreciate it. So first, the first thing that I want to ask you before we even get into crypto is, usually I ask people like how you got into crypto and things like that. But for you, two things. Tell us about your path to the NBA and then tell us about your path to crypto. So I think that'll make more sense for the viewers.
I think for myself, Tristan Thompson from Toronto, Canada, 14 years in the NBA, went to University of Texas, moved away from home at 16, went to boarding school, sacrificed my teenage years for a bigger goal, which was to make the NBA. My goal was always just put my family in a position where I can have my mom retire and not have to work. Jamaican descent, mother that worked 3 jobs. So for me, the sacrifices I made was to just make my family proud and make them happy. In the NBA, won a championship.
Almost drafted by the Raptors.
Almost drafted by the Raptors. 4. Valentino's went 5, I went 4. Had a lot of success, been super blessed and fortunate. 14 plus years in the NBA. Great memories. And for me, now to transition to the next part is, I think for athletes, life happens so fast where you kind of get in this matrix and you don't really put yourself in a position to wonder like what's next, right? For me, maybe from my upbringing, and understanding the reality of life, Father Time's undefeated, unless you're LeBron James, then you can play forever and ever and ever. But for me, it's about what was next. What was next? What would make me excited? What would give me that same burning sensation when I was 19 trying to get drafted now in life, right? And for myself, it was crypto and Web3. I've been for me being the elder statesman of the team and being the locker room, I've always been the guy who's been talking about financial literacy, right? Always educating guys. I think it's our job as athletes to pay it forward to the younger kids and younger generation. So for me, it was from a financial side. I'm always a guy telling guys what to ask their financial advisor, telling guys get audits, doing all that. But if I'm going to be giving out this financial literacy, I got to cover the whole scope. And with crypto and Web3, that's another form of financial literacy. So I said to myself, I have to educate myself in this space and learn what it's about so I can use those tools to help those behind me. And with doing that, I was very fortunate to be around some great OGs in the space, like a Ryan Fang that kind of took me under his wing. Ryan Fang, people that don't know, is one of the co-founders of ANKR. He's had some great success. And he's really kind of helped me understand the space and grow in the space. So there was a moment where last summer, I would call it crypto school, where I hired like 3 tutors that Ryan helped find for me, and I was learning from what was blockchain, what was L2, what was DeFi, what was yielding staking, right? Because I felt like if I'm going to be in this space, which had brought me a lot of excitement, I got to really understand and take it from a ground zero level and build it up. And I'm here today sitting with you, amazing gentlemen who have done some great things and have a great platform, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so you're mentioning staking, right? And I just want to know, when you're talking to these guys that you're surrounded by, like, what's the openness to what this is? Like beyond financial literacy, which everybody needs. I think like you focusing on that speaks to me. Like, of course, like doesn't matter like where you are in life. Like you can always learn more. But like, what are these guys saying when they're hearing that you're out here talking about Web3 or crypto?
I mean, they're inspired because I think, one thing about athletes, we're people try to pigeonhole us and put us in a box, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's the saying that LeBron was like, I'm more than an athlete.
Yeah.
And, when that lady on Fox said, just shut up and dribble, that kind of motivated a lot. And you can almost, if you look at after she made that quote, you can almost see a bunch of athletes started to expand themselves off the court, field, wherever it may be, and really started to become businessmen. And really, wherever their passion and field was, whether it was real estate, tech, being VCs, being builders, people really used it as motivation to see what's next. And for myself, being in the space, my teammates would ask me what I'm doing. They'd see me on Aerozone yielding, doing a USDC, CB, BTC pool, right? And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm yielding. I got to make you range. And doing all that. And I think they caught their attention. They're like, yo, explain to me what's going on.
Yeah.
And really, especially from DeFi, I think DeFi is the one area for the Web2 community where it's a very easy and safer entry. I wouldn't want to say entry drug, but an entry treat to get into the space because it's very digestible and it's something that they can understand.
Yeah, but you mentioned something off camera about just the UX, right?
Yeah.
Because I was saying I can't just share this with my mom, and you were talking about how it just needs to be stupid easy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that I take a lot of pride in terms of what can I bring to the space, right? Bridge the gap. And it's no different than in sports. For me, at one point I was a rookie. Now I'm one of the older guys on the team. There's that disconnect between players and coaches, right?
Yeah.
How can I be a valuable asset to a franchise? And one way I could be is help bridge the coaching staff and the younger players because I'm in that middle spot where I understand the language of the young players because the younger players are way different now, but also understand what the coaches need. And it's no different than Web3, right? It's like bridge the gap where listen, there's so many great founders here. There's so many people that have great idea, great tech. But the problem is that they're not able to explain what they're building or what they do, what their project's doing because they don't have the vocabulary or don't know how to grab the mainstream or the Web2 audience. And for me, I look at it as like a light bulb. It's like, let me be that person. Let me be able to explain this where we're talking to our aunt and uncle, where they're going to understand this, where they feel comfortable. Because one thing about human beings, when you use big words or words that they're not familiar with, they turn the brain off. Whenever you belittle a human being, they're going to tune you out. And that's when you already lost them. So for me, it's like, how can I explain what's going on in crypto Web3 where it's digestible? And they'll be like, oh, I get this. It's not as complicated as one may think.
Right.
Sure.
So basically making it relatable to your audience. And you're saying, a lot of these projects, they can't do that. They can't get the mainstream attention because they can't find, I guess, the best way to relate to a more generic mainstream audience. But one thing you said, the name of the person who introduced you to crypto is Ryan.
Ryan Fang. So Ryan Fang, yeah. So he's always
Orange pilled you, baby.
Yeah. So he's, especially with myself, whenever I'm going to go 2 feet into something, I know when I'm not the smartest. I know when I'm the least experienced, but I'm okay taking my ego and pride to the side and putting myself in a vulnerable position and saying, help me teach me.
That's how you learn, right?
Yeah, right? Because I don't want to be the smartest in the room. If I'm the smartest in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Right. That's a good attitude. Yeah. So that's great. So you've now started your own ventures. You've got Tracy AI, you've got basketball.fun. You're the chief content officer for Tracy AI and the lead advisor. You're also kind of leading this project, basketball.fun, with Insomnia and Improbable. So tell us a little bit about those 2 projects, what they're about, and how you're finding life as a crypto executive, essentially.
Yeah, no, I think for getting in the space, you got to figure out. I had this builder mentality, right? To get to the NBA, you got to build this up. You got to build this career, right? You're not just born an NBA star, right? I wasn't the guy that was always the fastest. Probably one of the strongest, but not always the fastest, tallest. I had to work for my skill, right? So it's no different than being in the space, work to build something, right? So for me, it's like, what's an area that I see that there can be improvement? And for me, it's sports entertainment. That's an area that I feel that can have. It's a lot of old dogs that don't want to learn a new trick. So let me be the young pup that's going to come and shake the room. Almost be a disruptor, but be a disruptor in terms of showing that there's more to this, right? That we could do more and open and broaden the horizon. So for me, whether it's basketball.fun, what we're doing is on-chain fantasy basketball, but the thing I love about it is it's empowering the fans, right? We always preach about how our fans are the most important to our sport and our business.
Right.
Well, it's time to put our money where our mouth is and really create a platform on-chain where they can take their knowledge and what they feel about the valuable player and really put it to use in a prediction fantasy basketball platform.
Wow. So, okay. So so I know that sports, like sports statistics, sports analytics is kind of like a pretty large ecosystem, especially with bettors.
Prediction market, everything. Yeah.
You talk about poly markets at all?
Yeah. Well, listen. Poly market was basically our form of news. Yeah, when it came to the election, right?
Sure.
They became more credible than CNN and Fox News, right? So that just shows you something that a community of people, regardless, they say maybe some people were working in the White House or had the intel. It is what it is. But the fact that a large community could come together with an idea and a feel or a sentiment about something and it actually come to fruition and be correct, shows you that we can, it's not just in politics. We can do this in sports. We can do this in entertainment. We could do this in so many other realms of life. So for me, that a light bulb is like, why not bring that to sports? And why not bring that on chain for basketball?
Sure. So, and then you've got basketball.fun, which is more like, I guess, you are, is it tokenizing players and then
yes, so we're
determining the value?
Yeah, so we're making the community determine the value of players, right? Like, listen, at the end of the day, we all know how great LeBron James and Luka Doncic and Giannis is, right? But it's about those rare players when creating these fantasy sports teams, the value of those players, right? Like, I'll give you an example. ESPN and NBA.com might say Drew Holiday is just a okay role player. Well, really, there might be a community that really believes he's actually just as valuable as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and they're willing to put tokens behind it and increase his value because they know he's going to be able to do in the game night in, night out, where they're going to end up being able to win and gain rewards. And the one thing about this, right, in anything in terms of like betting and prediction market is that everybody wants to know who's the best. A leaderboard, right? A leaderboard. And obviously, the better you are with your calls, the better you are with the right predictions, you're going to be rewarded more, right? And I think that's what this is. We're going to reward those that are actually great at what they do and make people really feel like they can challenge the Stephen A. Smith of the world and those people that are in the suits and ties that have these positions.
Stephen A. is waiting to be disrupted. We got to disrupt Stephen.
Yeah, man. I think, yes, I think
take away his power.
Yeah, I think the time is now that we really empower it. And it's for me, my mission is not just from a whole fan engagement and betting and prediction market, but it's also identifying talent. I think the meta right now, I think is amplify. I think that's the next step in this space. Amplify, be able to take a bunch of information and how to apply it to the everyday and really like use it for good, right? But my whole goal is like in the NBA, there's about 6 international scouts for every team. So if you times that by 30, it's about 70 people in position to cover billions of people to find talent, right? So what if we create this community where there could be a talented kid in Tanzania, right? If this community buys into and tokenizes him and builds him up and almost builds this rapport about him, and if he actually pans out to be a player, it's like finding the talent at an early age where you don't rely on the suits and ties and the scouts to do it, right? Empower the community to empower their own.
Right. It reminds me of the difference between, those political polls where they say this person is leading versus what you talked about earlier, poly market, where you can see the wisdom of the crowds, where everybody says, look, we think this person is winning the election and they put money behind it versus a smaller number of people who are, quote unquote experts who make the predictions, which are often wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
And one thing about human beings, and this is one thing I loved about what I created with Tracy, with AI, right? We're using analytics that the teams are using to back what the prediction is, back who she thinks is going to win, right? I mean, let's be realistic. When she was tweeting, she had us losing the games against Indiana. I'm like, I created you. How are you going against me? Yeah. But at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. And her clients are right. So for us, it's like, these reporters, they're humans. Humans have bias.
Yeah. Yep.
Certain Skip Bayless doesn't like LeBron, but he loves Kawhi. So if you ask him about who's better, he's going to give somebody else more love. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're going to strip the bias and the heart feeling and the facts are the facts.
They can tweak the algorithm though, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you winning something.
Yeah, I should have set it up. I mean,
So who's the target audience for this? For basketball.fun, I can see that the target audience is probably the fans, right? Because they're building up these fantasy teams, putting money behind it. For the sports analytics, though, because sports analytics is something that is used by, for example, commentators. It's something that's used by scouts, right? They want to know who the best.
Yeah,
that might be more on the college side, or I guess.
Yeah,
but
no. So
NBA.
Yeah. So
who's your target clientele? I guess
for Tracy, I mean, for analytics, I think I look at it 3 prongs. It's the 3 prong. You have obviously your front office side where they can use these high level analytics to figure out what they need to improve the roster.
Okay.
For coaching, it's a great way to get your data before you go scout. Like the one thing my coach said, Kenny Atkinson would say, is like, Tristan, the most frustrating thing is when I'm watching a game and I want certain stats or analytics about a player or a team, I have to literally go on my phone or email our analytic guy. Hopefully he's on his phone or computer, he's not sleeping, have him pull the data,
right,
then present it to me, and I don't get it till the next morning. But it's more than that. He wants to be able to create his game plan and the strategy for what the games to come the next day.
Next morning,
so imagine having it at the palm of your hands where you don't have to wait for that process. We're not saying, I'm not here to take guys' jobs or have guys, but be another asset to help you be more efficient at whatever your job is. Now, from a fan and consumer perspective, listen, everybody wants that 1% to know, like, they want to know what the athletes know. They want to be in the locker room, right? So being able to have these stats and analytics where they can use it now for betting.
Yeah, I thought
use it for prediction side. Where now it's not just like over and unders. No, like I know Jason Tatum is going to play well on Sundays because his numbers back. On Sundays, he's averaging 28 points per game, but on a Wednesday, he's averaging 25. So when I'm betting, I'm going to go big on this bet because the numbers are back.
Vegas.
Yeah. Vegas on steroids.
I used to have this was actually back in Toronto. I used to work for this hedge fund company, and my friend he was a big betting guy, and he had this book. He literally had a book. He would write down all the stats and all the bets and how much money he made. And I think he was at about like a 60-40 win-lose ratio. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure.
Did you ever get a peek at that book? Did you get a peek?
Yeah, but I'm not a bettor. So
64 is actually good. It's really good.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, as a betting, if you're a betting DJ and better, like,
yeah, if you beat the house.
Yeah, as long as you beat the house, you're good.
Right. So, okay. So it's the front office, it's the coaches who need to know the stats, and it's the fans who are betting and who want to know what their favorite players or not so favorite players are doing, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, that's cool. Now, one thing that I wanted to ask you, and I asked you this off camera, right? So we've got all these other stars that are involved in crypto. One thing we were curious about is among professional athletes, specifically the NBA, what is the general sentiment around crypto? We've got guys like Jimmy Butler. We talked about him, Tyrese Halliburton. They're kind of involved in crypto, maybe kind of not. What are you hearing in the locker rooms?
Yeah, sentiment and kind of like, what is the knowledge level, do you think? Right?
I mean, I think the sentiment right now is guys are very curious, right? Okay. Because I think what helps is the fact that the Trump administration and what they were doing with us, the Genius Act and the Clarity Act, being able to accept stable coins and let them be part of our everyday usage. It's allowing guys to really feel comfortable where they don't think, crypto is just this FTX situation or it's a rug pull scam thing. It's something that actually has real utility, real backing, and real support behind it. Yeah. So that's gained guys' interest because guys are asking all the time. Like guys see me posting right now that I'm in Korea and they're like, man, what you doing out there? And I'm like, I'm out here for crypto. And they're like, man, I really tell us about it. Like, man. And one thing they always ask, they're like, what's the next play? I'm like, no, guys, let's educate yourself first, one step at a time, right? Because they're on Twitter, they see that, the DJs are like, I just 100x on a meme coin or part coin where it's going to the moon. Like, they see everything. So they ask me because they feel comfortable and they know that I'm going to give them, honest advice and give my honest opinion on where I think, how they should approach this space.
Yeah. So do you think this is maybe a hint? Like maybe your future career is crypto financial advisor.
Definitely. Nice. Definitely. I think, like I said from the beginning, from the start, I've always been a person that wants to pay it forward. I've always been a person that wants to take information, help others, because at the end of the day, that's how you make the world a better place. And I'm a big, I'm a big believer, like when you help others and bless others, God's going to bless you in tenfold. So for me, if I can help people in terms of being a crypto advisor or be able to help onboard people in a grand way, in a big way, that makes me happy. And at the same time, build some great, dope stuff that can really make the world a better place and make whether it's sports entertainment more efficient. So I'm here.
And are you investing in, so I know you've got the actual companies that are producing like Tracy AI, the platform, and basketball.fun. Are you investing in Bitcoin, like the actual cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ether? And if you don't mind, like how much? You don't have to give us enough.
If I'm on Bitcoin.com, I got to say I have Bitcoin, but I wish I actually do, right? At the end of the day, Bitcoin is the Michael Jordan. It is the foundation of this space, right?
Michael Jordan. Okay, we'll get back to that.
No, listen, don't get it twisted. LeBron is definitely the best player to ever play the game. Yeah. But I have to have the analogy where people can understand.
Like the brand.
Yes, listen, Michael Jordan.
But let's go ahead.
Michael Jordan basically took basketball was just a sport and made entertainment.
Right.
So that's a big jump. So I look at it like Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created and it went from people just using centralized bank and a centralized system to being decentralized and having a floor and a very strong floor, which people are into, love it, and want to know more about it. But for me, I have like anything, right? You should always diversify your portfolio if you can.
Right.
But when I tell people that, I say like, what's the first asset I should buy digitally of getting into space? I say Bitcoin, because guess what? It's the floor, it's the foundation, it's the basement that holds our house up.
It all exists because of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So I guess this is the big question that everybody wants to know is, does LeBron James hold Bitcoin?
Maybe after watching this, right?
Listen, if
This might affect the price.
I would not be surprised, because I know LeBron very well. I wouldn't be surprised in his portfolio if he had some Bitcoin.
He dabbles.
And I wouldn't say, I'm not saying he's has a ledger and has a seed phrase in his safe, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's with BlackRock and he's in a Bitcoin ETF.
Surrounded by people talking about it, you got to look into it, right?
And hopefully watching this and motivates people to go open a wallet and buy some Bitcoin.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So besides crypto, I wanted to know, like, what other ventures are you getting into? So I know you seem to know a little bit about AI. Are you investing in other things, other projects?
Yeah, I'm always investing. I mean, for myself, I think it's going to cover the whole scale, right? Like, of course, yes, I love to build stuff. I love to be a part of great partnerships and great groups, but also invest in people that have the desire to want to do something dope and do something great. And I think that's how you kind of create this profile. And especially for myself, I take a lot of pride in like building myself out in the space, because unfortunately and I hate to put myself in this boat, because I don't view myself as a celebrity. I view myself as an entrepreneur that wants to do great things and be more than just...
You're being interviewed by Bitcoin.com. You're a celebrity.
Yeah,
you are now.
Yes. So for me, it's back to my train of thought. It was like, I want to be doing a little bit of everything, right? And I think for myself, and even from a grander, bigger side, like I want to be part of, a company in the space, and not just from a ambassador side, but a real executive C-suite role, being part of a company of what they're trying to do and what their mission is. Because I think in this space is about building a portfolio and building a profile where I want to be part of, like have that stamp. Like I look at myself like Dr. Dre got one of the biggest cosigns of his entire life, right? He was a great producer and rapper, but when he got with Jimmy Iovine, got that stamp where now Dr. Dre can start anything. He can go to any investment bank. He can go to any room now, and people look at him different because he's got that stamp from Jimmy Iovine as a businessman. So for me, it's no different than I want to have that for myself in this space, align myself with someone that is very well-respected, an OG. When he walks in the door, we're like, that guy's serious, and be like his Dr. Dre.
Well, I think like one area that is a gap, and you talked about it, is that a lot of this messaging doesn't reach a wide audience. So if you can keep doing that and like speaking to, everyone, you know, in a way that like resonates with them, then I could see that being very valuable to like whether it's AI, crypto, or like future of finance. Like there's a need for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge thing. I think, you know, listen, what's everyone always talking about? When's Bitcoin going to be at $1 million, right?
Yeah.
For that to happen, you know, it's going to happen onboard in Web2 world, right? That's the reality, right? Like let's not sugarcoat it, because at the end of the day, these conferences are great. They're amazing, right? But this cup is at 95% capacity, right? But there's another world, in the world that I'm from, where it's like 5%, right?
Right.
So that means so much runway and so much room. We're like, how can I be a vessel to fill that cup up, right?
Sure.
To get us to where we want to get to. In order to do that, it's like you said, got to onboard, teach them, give them the education, give them the literacy, but also create dope products that draws them in.
Right. And so one thing you mentioned there, you said Bitcoin might get to $1 million at the end of the year. You don't have to look at 10 years out, but maybe by the end of 2025, where do you see the price of Bitcoin?
It's an obligatory question, no pressure. You can see
Yeah, no, listen, I know OG Arthur Hayes was saying 250, but I'm a very conservative guy. I think that might be the Canadian in me. So like for me, like I'll be very content and happy if Bitcoin is at 150 this year. It's
beautiful.
I'll be happy and content. And guess what? What's the saying? Like under promise, overachieve, over deliver, right? Like, so if it goes over 150, like who's up something?
You're not taking a person. And again, the first person who gave that prediction is a very smart young lady who's in the TradFi, DeFi world. So you're right there on the executive level. So you talked about conferences as well. So we're live here in Seoul, South Korea, the Korean Blockchain Week. Have you seen any projects besides the ones that you're involved in that caught your eye or that you think are interesting?
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, one thing about this conference, which I love, it's like, it's almost a way to keep your knife sharp, right? To see what people are thinking, see what people are trying to build. But you know what I noticed? It's not even about one person specific. It's more so everyone's understanding the mass adoption is very important, because everyone can't just be building the same thing if we can't have a mass adoption, because that recipe, that playbook is already kind of ran out.
Right.
The ones that become the star in this cycle are the ones that are going to be able to do mass adoption. So like, there's so many people that are doing some great things. I mean, listen, what Luca's doing with Pudgy, bringing it to real world. Well, what Story's doing, especially in the Korean market, with being able to bring on board like everyday companies and IPs. That's forward thinking, and that's how we get the mass adoption. Doing things like that.
Awesome.
You know what? We know you're super busy, got like a lot of other stuff to do. Tristan, we really appreciate you coming on here and, you know, bringing in some visibility on what this is. So it's awesome speaking.
No, guys, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, man. Like, an honor.
And one thing I want to say to our viewers, how do they get in touch with you? For Tracy AI, basketball.fun, or just to touch base with you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm on X or Twitter. You know, I'm a little old school, so I say Twitter still. But my Twitter is real Tristan13. I'm on there, very active on there. I'm always tweeting, talking about whether it's we're talking about who's gonna make it to Vegas, hype or Aster for us on the perp esports, like I see going on here. Twitter is probably the best way in terms of getting a hold of me. Watch out for basketball.fun, Tracy AI. We're building some great things, and I'm just excited about the space.
Well, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. It looks like you've learned in that 1 year that you talked to Ryan. You've learned quite a lot, and it looks like you're here for the long term. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Tristan Thompson, 2016 NBA champion. He's launching Tracy AI and basketball.fun. Tristan, thank you for coming.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me on.